When I was growing up in Slovakia, all the food was homemade.
Okay.
And I came to United States and I was like, what is all this food in grocery store that's already pre-made? And when I met my husband a few years after I came here, he made me a dinner and I came to his house. We were still dating. And he pulled out this food on a foil out of the oven and he made it. He said, I made it. And I'm like, you didn't make it. It was bought. You just put it in the oven in the foil and warmed it up. So those were my like the first light bulbs. Like, what is the disconnect? So and I'm just like genuine, like there's no judgment. I'm just like genuinely telling you the story as a 26-year-old, growing up on food that my mom made at home, even though it was sugary, even though it was fried, even though it was processed, but she bought all the single ingredients and made it at home.
On today's episode, I have Adriana Shuman here, and I am so excited for you guys to hear her incredible expertise. Adriana is a nutritionist alongside being a functional medicine, health, and wellness strategist. She's also a pharmacist, author, and entrepreneur. And Adriana and I have connected through the business mentorship we are in, and I am just so excited for her to share everything that she has done inside of coaching, programming, being an author, and so much more. So Adriana, thanks so much for your time today, my friend. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Erin. I was really looking forward to meeting you and talking to you.
Yes, our hearts are very much in the same place of serving people very intentionally when it comes to their health and wellness and making sure that they feel empowered on their health and wellness journey. So Adriana, if you could do me a favor and kind of jump in and start a little bit with your personal health journey. I know for so many that are led into the health and wellness space, it starts with us. It starts with what did we personally go through and where did it lead us? So if you could share a little more about your transformation, your journey, and what led you to live well, I would love that.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, you said it right. It's us who have been through something. We are the best teacher, right, to what we have been able to grow through and get on the other side of the bridge.
Yes.
So my story was kind of the same. My life was actually pretty brutal. I grew up in a pretty chaotic, violent home in what was Czechoslovakia, and it became Slovakia when I was 14 years old. And my father was extremely violent. I witnessed beating that no child should ever see. My mother was a narcissist and was dealing with her struggling with alcohol. And so I grew up in a very unpredictable, unsafe home and was pretty much just surviving. And on top of that, my physical environment was pretty toxic too, even though my mom cooked meals every day, kind of just a typical European mom. It was very delicious, great food, but it was full of sugar, fried foods, and processed carbs, just pasta, pizza, white potatoes, white rice, and that kind of stuff. So, which all leads to inflammation. I was constantly sick. So you just can imagine this bucket of trauma every single day with this food. Then we had mold in our apartment, unfiltered city water. Like, wow, how did I survive? So it was pretty toxic. And I was suffering pretty much from every kind of disease. And my dad was dragging me from doctors to doctors. I couldn't figure out what the heck is going on because nobody knew back then. I'm thinking about nutrition, health, toxicity, and all that stuff. And I also watched my close family members. All of them have passed from cancer, and very painfully. And it was just starting to become very clear to me, like something is not adding up, and I refused to live this way. I did not. Everybody accepted living this way. This was normal, and I just didn't want to accept it. I had something inside of me saying no. I studied pharmacy, and during the pharmaceutical years, when I was practicing in pharmacy for about a year, I took a year off from school, and I was working. It was very clear to me, I don't want to be handing out medication in the grocery store. This is not what I'm meant to do. And this is not how I'm going to help people. I had no idea what I was about to do, but this was not my path. Yeah. So I was grateful that the pharmacy gave me the background of science. I love science, and understanding things is really important to me. I really emphasize understanding. That's where change really happens. People hear me say it all the time. And after I finished university, I left. I left my country. I knew I had to heal. I had to leave my home, and I had to find my path. I see, figure out what actually I am supposed to do in this world. But I had to heal first. So I ended up in the United States, just leaving everything. And really, right now, it's, I ended up learning about functional medicine and just diving into all the science research after I learned English, obviously, and books and seminars and everything I could. And now I am teaching people what I have learned over 20 years now. And people don't have to make such sacrifices that I had to do to leave everything behind and do the hard work. There are a lot of resources now, right? Than it was back
Yes.
then. So that's how I ended up here.
I love that. And I love how you're just speaking to these different buckets that I think a lot of people can relate to from their path, right? Their past, whatever it is that their specific situation was. Like, we all carry some level of trauma.
Yeah.
We all carry some level of, nutritional habits that maybe aren't going to serve our longevity just because of the society we live in. And I love that you specifically have more of that science pharmaceutical background that really taught you where you wanted to go and what you wanted to continue to learn, specific to lifestyle and specific to things that you could really implement from more of a natural capacity to really help yourself kind of heal from the inside out and get to this place of feeling like you were thriving in your health. So Adriana, I would love to kind of talk really specifically about nutrition today. I love that you're a certified nutritionist and so much more. And you have so much knowledge related to all kinds of facets of wellness. But I will say firsthand, me, as a 40 plus year old woman, I am still in this place of trying to learn energizing, sustainable nutrition habits that I can build in consistently that I know are really going to serve my longevity health, my cellular health, and so much more. And this is a topic that I talk to literally daily with women about, because so many women, or really people in general, didn't really learn how to fuel for energy, didn't really have the exposure to this is why whole food nutrition can be transformative for your longevity and your health. So you talk a lot about how food is a message to your body and it either fuels health or it fuels disease.
Yeah.
And so I'd love for you to talk about, like, why is learning how to eat food that aligns with nature and your biological clock so important?
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about nutrition forever, and it still seems like such a confusing and complicated subject, even though, I like to simplify things. And I actually start teaching people about mitochondria and microbiome in a very friendly way, because understanding is really important. And as you said, energy, mitochondria are in all of our cells except red blood cells. And we have hundreds to thousands of mitochondria in every cell of our organ, depending on the organ, depending how much energy that organ is needing and producing. And then we have microbiome. I call them the dream team or the M&M. And the microbiome, even though they have different jobs, they're very interconnected and they support each other. And if the microbiome is healthy and the mitochondria is healthy, then we're thriving. We have vibrant health. We have unstoppable energy. We're doing great. And how do we do that? Well, they have certain needs, just like we have to breathe oxygen, or we have to do certain things to live a healthy life. They have needs, and their needs are specific foods. For mitochondria, it's specific carbohydrates, proteins, healthy fats, and oxygen, of course, water and other things. But these are like the main things that they take in, they create energy from. It's just like the generator needs fuel in order to create energy for you to make dinner for your family and home. So you have to think about it in a way like you can just dump a bunch of stuff. You can just put water inside the generator and expect it to create electricity for your home, right? It needs specific fuel. It's the same thing with our bodies. Same thing with our microbiome. It needs specific fuel. And for the microbiome, what is it? It's fiber. We talk about plants all the time. And it's not just, I don't want people to like, oh, I'm tired of talking, about plants and proteins and blah, blah. But that's just what it is. That's just the simplicity of, and the beauty of food is really just going back to nature and looking at looking at the nature, what do I find in nature? And that is what I eat. That is what my body, because my body is part of the nature. So I am built to eat these things, right?
Right.
And the microbiome specifically needs plants. And I tell people at least 50 grams of fiber a day, because that is what the microbiome chews on, and it ferments it, and then makes molecules to give to the mitochondria to make energy, and then also makes molecules like, hormones, then also removes stuff that we don't need anymore, making sure that you don't get cancer, or you don't get disinflammation, or you don't get leaky gut, or whatever. So there's a beautiful system that is working inside of us, and we need to understand it before we go into, okay, what do I eat? What do I eat? What kind of diet am I supposed to do? That's my clients are always like, I have no idea what to eat anymore. They're trying to eliminate this and that, and nothing works, instead of like understanding, okay, what is going on in my body? What am I actually eating?
Right.
And what do these guys need? And it's really always going back to simplicity and nature.
It's so good. And a good reminder for all of us, because I think the wellness space can be very, very overwhelming with information and noise.
Yeah.
And it's very common for people to say, I don't know what to eat anymore. And they've gone through these seasons of cutting out food groups or cutting back on certain kinds of things in order to, reach XYZ goal or whatever it is their mission is. And it doesn't end up serving them in some way because there's an imbalance, or they're missing the mark on some of the basics to why we need whole food nutrition and a robust variety of whole food nutrition, and really hitting on all the macronutrients and all the micronutrients in order to really feed the mitochondria and the gut microbiome, like you said, with intention.
Yeah.
And so I love that you just talked about, I love the M&M concept, how they really go hand in hand and how they feed one another. Adriana, I would love for you to share. You said one of the things you talk to your clients about is hitting 50 grams of fiber a day. So if you were talking to someone like a client or something like that, like what would you say to them? How would you help them start to take steps in a tangible way towards hitting that? Because I hear often how that can feel hard. Mm-hmm. And I just want you to kind of simplify how it really doesn't have to be overcomplicated.
Yeah, it doesn't. And when you're talking about macronutrients too, and, people specifically focusing on different diets. So I want to touch base on that later too, because I don't even like the word diets. It's just food. It's like these words get so misused, and everything is just so confusing. It's just talking about food and nutrition. I love that you say nutrition.
Yeah.
For the plants is thinking about what I've realized, that people have a lot of misunderstanding what fiber actually is and where it is. And it's really plant foods. And what are plant foods? You can find them: legumes, nuts and seeds, vegetables, fruits. Like anything that grows in nature that is not animal product is plant food, and that has fiber, right?
Yeah.
So the way I teach my clients, and the way I do it honestly, is making sure that 3 times a day I am eating plants. And you can do it. It depends on where somebody's coming from. If they're coming from a place like, oh my gosh, I don't eat vegetables at all. Like for example, my husband, he doesn't like any vegetables. Now he eats them because he knows they're healthy.
Right.
That's the only reason, right? And we found few that he will eat, but there's still some that he's not going to touch, right? So finding the ones that you will eat, like for example, my husband, he will eat broccoli and asparagus. Okay, so we're just going to focus on those to begin with, and making sure that we eat those every day. So in the morning, people are used to eating sweet foods. Why don't you change this for savory? You can have egg whites, or avocado and kimchi, that's fiber and also like bacteria already, and have some arugula or carrots, or just switching the mindset a little bit and realizing that you can have the foods that we were taught to eat just for lunch. You can actually have it for breakfast, and you're gonna
totally
right.
Yes.
You're gonna feel so much more satisfied, and just your day is gonna completely change if you just do this small shift. Or if you're eating oatmeal, get rid of the oatmeal, get rid of the oats and oat milk and all that stuff, and replace it with chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, and sunflower seeds, and walnuts. You're getting a lot of good healthy fats and fiber.
Yeah.
And do the same thing, for lunch and for dinner. Just make sure that you're always focused on lots of plant food, lots of seeds and beans. I suggest everyone, if you tolerate it, eats at least quarter cup of beans a day.
Yeah.
And that is an incredible amount of fiber right there, and also amino acids. And the other
Right.
thing is, I want to mention, we have supplements. You can
Yeah.
supplement with fibers as well. Every single morning, I have a scoop of psyllium husk and
Okay.
also prebiotic fibers, and some, it has, I think, like inulin in there, acacia fiber. Just make sure whenever you're getting supplements, this is another thing. Supplements, think of supplements just like food. I tell
Right.
people, don't save money on food. Focus on the quality. The same thing goes for supplements. Make sure they're third party tested. They're tested for, heavy metals, mold. This
Right.
company has been around for a long time, has great reputation. It has good manufacturing practices. There's the label GMP on it. And every single morning, you can start with this. Have a scoop of psyllium husk, scoop of another fiber and prebiotic fibers, and that adds up to 5 to 10 grams of fiber. So you don't have to stress over eating so many different kinds of plants if that's not your thing and you don't enjoy it that much. And you can do it again before lunch, and there's your 50 grams of fiber a day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so helpful because I know people just overcomplicate it, myself included. Like I've had to learn through practice over time, what does it really look like to get an adequate amount of fiber? And just simply by focusing on including plants in some capacity at every meal, like you're going to be more than halfway there almost always.
Yeah.
And so I love that you talked about that, but also talked about the power of potential supplementation and how, as long as it's really targeted and high quality, that can also be something that can help you start to move towards that goal. So I'm so grateful for your perspective. Really, really helpful, my friend.
Oh,
I wanted to talk a little bit about just kind of gut health overall. A lot of people describe the gut as the second brain,
yeah.
and how it can be very much involved in overall mood, energy, just our well-being. Like we don't always know or understand how powerful the gut is and why gut health matters. So can you talk a little bit about gut health and the impact it has on things like energy, mood, and overall health?
Yeah, it's pretty an incredible little neighborhood. It's you can imagine your gut microbiome being like a neighborhood, a fenced, beautiful neighborhood of all kinds of different people. Everybody has a different jobs. They are, making sure that the roads are working, the grocery store is filled up, the fence is nice and tight, and that's kind of how your microbiome is working. There's a lot of different microbes in there and viruses and all kinds of stuff, and they all have different jobs. And if we are missing some of those, little guys in there, those microbes, then the jobs can get done, right?
Yeah.
And they have so many different jobs. And just for women, because I know you focus on women specifically, a lot of women are afraid of estrogen, for example. And estrogen is not a problem, but the problem is when we don't have a bacteria inside of our gut that is specific to metabolize estrogen, to get it out of the body after
Yeah.
we use it, it needs to get out. And most of the things work like that, right? We make hormones, we use them, and they need to get out of our body. And what really gets them out of our body, besides everybody knows about liver, is the microbes.
Yes.
Right? So they're the one that are actually doing the cleanup and doing the part of the job. I mean, it's all, when people ask me, what is the biggest thing? What makes the biggest difference? It's really a system. I don't like to really say like liver is the big thing, the microbiome is the big thing, the mitochondria. It's really, they're all working together, and we have to think about all of these things as a system. Even though we're used to, going to a doctor, you go to an ear doctor or a skin doctor, whatever. It just doesn't really work like that with our bodies. So I'm going somewhere else right now, but I just want people to understand the connection.
Yeah, it's
right.
It's so interconnected. The more you can learn that, the more powerful you can become as far as just understanding your body.
Yeah.
It's just imperative to really get like, oh, okay, all of this really is a huge unit supporting each other in all these different ways. And that's something that I never really learned about. Like when I learned about my body as a female, and when I was learning like what exactly it meant to take care of my health, especially related to my physiology, like I just wasn't really taught that. And unless you are studying science or kind of going down that road professionally, you don't necessarily have that lens. And so I just appreciate you really speaking to how this is a system and we
Yeah.
have to start viewing it that way.
Yeah. It's just like in nature, like everything helps, feeds each other, supports each other. Like we as people live in the community, right? It's really hard to do things alone.
Yeah.
We need each other. Just thinking about it through that lens, it might be helpful. But yeah, so that's one part of it. Is like when I was talking about the removal of waste. Estrogen is waste after it's been used. Immune system, is in your gut, happens in your gut, making serotonin and dopamine. Now we know that actually serotonin, the dopamine, and more GABA is made in the gut, and then it travels to the brain. And that's kind of
Yeah.
one of those things when we talk about when you're asking about the gut-brain connection. It's again when you imagine the neighborhood living inside of this fence, and they have to report every day to the city hall, right? Somebody has to go there and report how everything is going in a neighborhood. It's the same thing. There's things going into your brain. If you're craving sugar, it's not your brain, it's your gut microbiome. You got to look at your gut microbiome and what kind of people are living in there
Yeah.
asking you to eat the sugar, right?
Yeah. I love that.
And then you have to get rid of those guys,
Yeah. Yeah.
replace them with those that are either not really craving anything. Like I was addicted to sugar. I was eating a chocolate bar, Milka is the name of the chocolate bar
Yeah.
from Austria. I was
Yeah.
addicted to it. I was
Yeah.
addicted to sugar. And honestly, what broke it really for me was when my dad passed from cancer.
Yeah.
It was watching him go through the sugar addiction and dying. I could not even thought of sugar. Like that
Yeah.
did it for me. That was about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just felt I just felt physically sick just thinking about the sugar. And so I've been through it, and I know it's very possible to completely not like sugar, and not doing it through any restrictions, not doing it through, I mean, you don't have to go through obviously such a, horrific time as I did. But even before that, I already was on a way to trying to clean my body,
Yeah.
but really understanding, not blaming your brain, not blaming your upbringing, and just really being open-minded and understanding your body and things that are happening there. They're kind of, like these microbiomes, they're kind of telling you how to feel, what
Yeah.
to eat, when to eat, what
Yeah.
to do, how to think,
Right.
and connected to your brain, obviously. But yeah, understanding is just the biggest piece to everything.
It's the biggest piece. It really is the biggest piece. And I just appreciate you just going very deep and being transparent about your journey and just some of the things that helped you kind of, get a different perspective on why and how you really wanted to step into change for your longevity because of your experience. And I think that's just relatable on a lot of different ways
Yeah,
for a lot of us.
yeah,
I think at the core, we all want health in some way. I just feel like in a lot of capacities, there's just things stacked against us. And so if we can get educated and learn how to advocate more and learn how to really understand our bodies in a unique way, it just gives us more power and control over how we really want to feel in our days and how we really want to age and, be around for the long haul. Like
yeah,
that's obviously the ideal, right?
yeah. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
and I say to that to just stop looking for the quick fix. It just doesn't
Yeah.
work. That you
It doesn't
have to
work.
understand your body. You're just gonna prolong that time,
Yeah.
and the mountain is just gonna get bigger and more difficult to climb
Yes.
if you do that. So I always tell people, just find somebody you can trust and
Hmm.
really make sure you're listening. Like the conversations we're having, it's not like this one thing is gonna help you. Just
Yeah.
we're talking about, you need to understand your body, you need to understand your biology, your food, and you don't have to go deep. It's just basic things, and
Yeah.
making sure that you're not delaying, just trying to, what I say is like no guessing, no
Right.
restrictions, and that's how you really achieve the health. It's this
Yes.
guessing is just, it just hurts my heart when I see
Right.
people just like, okay, I'll try this, I'll try that. And it's been 2 years and they're feeling worse than when they started to search for that one thing. And it just
Yeah.
breaks my heart.
Yeah, it breaks my heart too. And it's unfortunately a big part of the wellness space because there's so much noise and misinformation. And here's the one thing you need in order to get to health. And that's been one of the most profound things I've gone through in my own personal wellness journey is learning the power of bio-individual health strategies, like
Yeah.
really getting to understand your unique body and how what you individually need is not what anyone else needs.
Exactly.
And so once you have that understanding, it just gets rid of this idea of chasing the quick fix or chasing the cookie cutter, which at the end of the day, like you said, is never going to be the long-term solution. So I just appreciate you sharing that because I very much resonate. Like it breaks my heart,
Yeah.
breaks my heart, really does.
Yeah. I know you're out there
Yeah.
doing great work, trying to help people and teach them
Yeah.
the right things. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you know, an ever evolving journey of learning and growing. And I just really appreciate that transparency in it because it's not always easy.
No.
And it's just really powerful to hear from really knowledgeable practitioners like you about this concept of find what you need based on your body. Like
Yeah.
that is really the core message that I want to make sure listeners are hearing today as we're talking about nutrition and we're talking about these things like, you know, the gut microbiome, your mitochondria, all of that, like it is unique to you because each of us is uniquely made. And so I love that you're just speaking to that because that's the truth that women need to hear over and over and over in the health space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adriana, I'd love to kind of switch a little bit and talk more about processed foods and things like that. You know, I am absolutely someone who has gone through seasons where I leaned really heavily on processed foods or even ultra processed foods, had also tried to figure out how to get rid of sugar addiction and work through some of those things. You know, that's absolutely been a part of my story. And I still have seasons where I have to really get in tune with how that may be changing in my evolving physiology, right? And, you know, one of the things you share about is how even healthy processed foods can sabotage longevity or sabotage how you're actually feeling. So can you just speak a little bit about processed and ultra processed foods, just kind of your perspective on that?
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic because when I was growing up in Slovakia, all the food was homemade.
Okay.
And I came to United States and I was like, what is all this food in grocery store that's already pre-made? And when I met my husband a few years after I came here, he made me a dinner and I came to his house. We were still dating. And he pulled out this food on a foil out of the oven and he made it. He said, I made it. And I'm like, you didn't make it. It was bought. You just put it in the oven in the foil and warmed it up. So those were my like the first light bulbs. Like, what is the disconnect? So and I'm just like genuine, like there's no judgment. I'm just like genuinely telling you the story as a 26-year-old, you know, 28, 29, 30-old person growing up on food that my mom made at home, even though it was sugary, even though it was fried, even though it was processed, but she bought all the single ingredients and made it at home. We never had food in a store that we could just buy already made and then just warm it up. That was very new to me. So imagine that, right? For you guys, it's like, oh, this is normal. So, and I was kind of happy because I didn't have to deal with those addictions. Although I'll tell you another funny story. I discovered tortilla chips and man, I got addicted.
Yeah, they can be dangerous.
I had to lean off. So I'll tell you this, for example. This is actually a good example that might be helpful for somebody. When I realized how bad they are, I would have a bag of tortilla chips in the car all the time, munching on it as I was driving.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was, okay? And then I realized how bad they were for me. I was like, okay, I need to find a substitute. So always find something that's better. Sometimes it's really hard to just like stop because we are addicted. Our microbiome is like, give it to me, give it to me. It takes time for it to change. Even though if you're, we can talk about fasting. In 24 hours, you can change your microbiome and all that stuff. We can, talk for days about the science of microbiome. But just to make it very simple, I found cassava chips. So I'm like, okay, these are better. It was organic cassava. It was not fried. It was made, I think it was with avocado oil, coconut oil. I don't remember. I'm like, okay, better. Well, I was wearing my glucose monitor. I wear my continuous glucose monitor pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, my glucose was spiking like crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, spiking glucose equals to inflammation. I keep doing this every day equals to disease, right?
Yes.
In a few years,
Yes.
not doing that. So what is a better substitute? What I'm craving is the crunchy, salty stuff because I got rid of my sugar addiction, but I want that salty, crunchy things now. So then I found these seeds. They're called top seeds, and it's just seeds, crackers. They're crunchy and salty. And so I started to eat those, and they're much better for me. Obviously, no addiction is good. And I don't have an addiction anymore, but I do have the problem of when I buy the box, I will eat the box.
Yeah.
But I don't have to have the box at home, right? So I slowly removed that and I replaced the worst with something that's much better for me. But anything you overeat on, and my husband would say like, oh my gosh, don't worry about overeating. It's good for you. I'm like, no, it's still not good for me.
It's not really the best.
Yeah. Even if you eat, a ton of carrots every day, it's not going to be that good for you.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what you were asking me, but I think
just more about like, just talking about how even healthy processed foods have to be something that we're thinking about in relation to our health, because even those can become something that is not really a great habit or not really great to lean on for things like blood sugar, et cetera.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for bringing me back to that.
No worries.
So, and let's define what actually processed, ultra processed food is, right? Real food is the only food you can find in a whole food in nature. And processed food is anything from cooking, chopping, like, you're cooking eggs, it's processed. You're chopping your carrots, it's processed, right? So that's all fine as long as you're processing it. Ultra processed food is when we chop, freeze, cook, whatever, and then we add stuff to it from preservatives, emulsifiers, flavorings, sugars, highly oxidized seed oils. That's when it becomes ultra processed food, where we're losing the nutrients, we're losing the fiber we're talking about, and we're adding toxins, and toxins cause inflammation. And when you do this every single day, I think there was a study, I believe I was reading the other day, that 5 days, somebody who was completely healthy, eating whole real foods and eating ultra processed foods for 5 days, looked from the inside just like the person who's been eating ultra processed food their whole life. That's how quickly your body can get inflamed, and your cells can get damaged, and your microbiome can completely change. It happens really quickly. So it's like, it's okay to do it once in a while. Like, the thing about ultra processed foods is everybody tells you get rid of them completely. Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, we should not be eating anything that has added things that come from factories, right? We should only be eating things that come from nature. And if you're gonna eat, food that is processed is fine. Like a tomato sauce, make sure you have tomato sauce that has only things on the ingredient list that you can actually have in your own kitchen, like basil, oregano, onion, olive oil, done, right? You don't want to have sugar added. You don't want to have preservative added. So I believe now it's so much easier to avoid ultra processed foods if we have the education on what that is and understand that reading labels is not negotiable.
Yeah.
And when you read the labels, make sure every single ingredient there is something you can pronounce, you can understand, and it's a whole food. And I'm also going to add it's organic or wild, sustainably grown, because I teach people a lot about toxins, about pesticides, herbicides, mold, heavy metals. They cause diseases, whether, we need to be honest about that. It's just, if you continue to eat these foods, it takes 20, 40 years for the disease to develop. So just because it's not killing you today, it is going to one day. And as people don't want to, say it honestly, but it's just the truth. We have to talk about it openly. So, and the disease, the emotional cause, the financial cause is much higher than buying organic tomato sauce today. So I know I'm taking it a little bit further, but even when it comes to processed food, like fried foods. Like fried food for me is absolutely not. Like you kind of have to come to a place to where when you understand food a little bit better, I would say just choose one non-negotiable, the one thing
Yeah.
that you're never going to do again. And for
Yeah.
me, it was also fried foods because I was addicted to fried food too. That was normal for me. And when I realized how damaging it is to my cells, I, I tell a joke. I would tell people that imagine cigarette butts. That's how bad it is. I'm
Yeah.
not going to eat cigarette butts, obviously, right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I would just, when I would see, fries or any just fried food, I would just imagine there's cigarette butts. You just play games with your brain.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you just believe that. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm not going to, why would I eat that? So
Yeah.
it takes
Yeah.
work and it's not
It takes
easy.
work.
I'm not trying to
It's not
say that
easy.
any of this is easy.
Yeah.
But I've been there. And when you choose to put health as your priority and you just decided nothing can get in the way, then just one tiny little step at a time, you will get to
Yeah.
where I am. It took me a decade, 2
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah. And I appreciate that like above all else, because so often it's seemingly this message of, I went from this to this in 24 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I wish.
that's not the reality of chipping away at this concept of whole health, really understanding the functional side of our bodies. I mean, we're unpacking decades and decades of misinformation, like really poor quality foods, a society that doesn't necessarily have health as the priority when it comes to our food system, our healthcare system, et cetera. And so we are slowly peeling back the onion on trying to put this into practice for us as individuals and our families. And so when you are trying to do this, it's so important to embrace like that this is a journey.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very small steps at a time. And I love how you just said, like, choose one small thing you want to change or say, you know what, that's just not for me anymore. And I'm going to switch over into doing this instead, or I'm going to switch out to this product instead. Like that's really how this thing works. And I just love how you're sharing that, because that's something that all of us need to hear, myself included, because some days it does feel like, oh my gosh, this is so much. This is so overwhelming. How are we ever going to get to this place of like whole sustainable health? But it is possible. It just takes time.
Possible. It's 100% possible. And yeah, it's really hard, Erin, because, we look at social media, we look at all of this. I just wish we could just turn it all off every Sunday or something like that.
Yeah.
Like in Switzerland, nobody's working on Sundays. Like everything is off. Like I wish there would just be a day where, but this is, democracy. So you kind of have to teach yourself how to do that. Like I literally have a app on my phone too that I cannot get on any social media from 6 p.m. until 8 a.m. the next morning. Like you have to put these things in place because it is so overwhelming and it is hard because you see all these people and oh my gosh, it happened overnight. Like no, even with the business, like people that are super successful have all these followers and then you have 10 followers. It's the same thing. Like these people had 10 followers too. It's the same thing with food, with exercise, with sleep. And there is so much that we haven't learned and we're still not learning. Nobody's still teaching us, our kids in schools, about health. It's crazy. It's just, I don't even want to go there because that is super heartbreaking for me.
I know that is also a heartbreaking thing.
Yeah.
But also why, coaches like us are trying to continue to share messages, collaborate together, talk about the importance of inside out health and wellness and really how this is a process and a journey that feels really messy, but it's also very possible. Like we have more control than we realize. Yeah. And it's kind of taking that power back through education and through learning from people that have kind of gone before us and can continue to lead the way through their stories and through how they teach and coach. Yeah. So I just appreciate you.
Yeah. The big thing that you said is taking control. I always tell people we are in charge. You are in charge. We have to stop being passive participants of our health and relying on doctors and relying on other people to give us help to fix this, to fix that. It doesn't work that way. We really are in charge. Nobody's going to come and save you. You have to understand your health and your environment, take charge and take those tiny little steps and move towards health. And oh my gosh, when you're coming from a place where you have no energy and you have joint pains and you have headaches and all kinds of things that you're struggling with, I see it with my clients. It's literally over a week and 2 weeks they start feeling better just doing small little shifts. But we need support. We need community. We make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who are supporting you and know that they have your best interest, and it's not about them, and it's about what it is that you need specifically.
Yes. So good. So much truth and so good. Adriana, one quick question before we wrap up.
Yeah.
For the person that's listening to this who resonates with your story, who maybe has sugar addiction, who maybe is trying to figure out how do I start to slowly chip away at getting rid of ultra processed foods, or who wants to really start to get to learn their body and learn about the power of whole food nutrition and why that can start to transform their health, what would be the first best step you would give them, or what advice would you share for how they can just get started with making these kinds of shifts?
Well, the first thing I tell everybody is to shift your mindset and really question your beliefs, because what I find with people is people come and say, I'm eating healthy. I don't understand why I'm having all these problems. I'm doing everything right. So what I learned over the years is really shifting the mindset and being willing to question if what you're doing every day is truly serving you, is truly healthy. That's where it has to start.
Right.
And open up to the idea that maybe the foods that you're eating are not good for you. And really, when we're talking about food, just focus on eating real, whole, sustainable food. Just eat real, sustainable food. Start right there, and you can start one thing at a time. And my book, Live Well, that's going to be out, shameless plug, May 13th.
Go for it. Love it. I love it.
May 13th, my book, Live Well, Empowering Habits for Vibrant Health and Unstoppable Energy, has the exact steps to change your environment, food, sleep, and movement. I have some recipes in there as well. But it's I have received really great reviews from early readers and doctors that it's really going to be a life-changing, good guide for many, many people who are struggling with being overwhelmed and finding the real good roadmap.
Right. The roadmap. And, it's just very relatable. I hear almost every day how overwhelming this concept of how do I live a healthy lifestyle really feels some days. And, Adriana just said it, like it's possible. And if you have a roadmap and community and support, and if you slowly start to focus on simple things like shifting your mindset and focusing most on whole foods from nature, like you're already making positive steps in a great direction for your health. And so, Adriana, I'm so grateful for you, my friend. Thank you so much for everything that you shared today. Really quickly before we go, can you share how people can connect with you, find you, if they want to work with you? What's the best way to connect?
Yeah, so my business name is Your Wellness Made Simple, so they can find me on the website there and connect. I love talking to people. I love when people email me with questions and I can get on a quick call and just support people. I really, truly am here to support people as much as I can. My email address is on the website. I'm on Instagram. I'm not crazy about Instagram, but I am doing it.
I know, the double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, I have help there, but the best thing to do is really get on my website and you can find contact information there. Thank you so much, Erin. I really, really enjoyed this conversation. It's been really
fun. Me too, Adriana. Thank you so much, everyone. We will have Adriana's information linked in the show notes of this podcast, so you can find her new book coming, her website. You can connect with her on Instagram and so much more. This was such a great and powerful conversation, Adriana. Thank you again so much for your time. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I know balancing time and energy can be a challenge, and I'm so proud of you for listening in and investing in your wellness journey. I feel incredibly grateful to connect with you and for the opportunity to share more knowledge, stories, and encouragement related to all things wellness. I would love to hear how this podcast has served you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review on either iTunes or Spotify. Your support truly means the world to me and helps me reach more women just like you and me who are looking to transform their health from the inside out. Plus, when you share this episode with a friend, we invite more women in to learn alongside us. What a gift. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more we know, the better we can do. For ourselves, for our families, and our future. Well done on taking the step towards a healthier, happier you. Until next week, stay empowered and stay well.